Yongbi Kim, the OBF champion, a man who looks so dead inside, I have just shat my pants. For God's sake, look at the emotionless eyes he possesses, holding a public sparring session, probably to show off just how cold he is. Against this cute little punching bag here, dodging and countering with ease, maintaining the same expression, and then he switches on a bit. Uppercut left, right, and then he steps back, and his opponent just suddenly falls unconscious. He did the unsheathing samurai sword trick without the sword, just straight hands. Bro literally reset him, and I'm gonna be honest, he is very eerie. The man's eyes don't change, he literally doesn't react. This is a boxer, just stone cold emotion as he destroys another sparring partner in very brutal fashion, which is where we find out some key details. Apparently 2 of Kim's opponents have died, which is terrifying, and the fact he's still a boxer is crazy. He's like Sawamura if Sawamura was on crack. I can think of a better place where he should be. Prison! Before we skip to Joe and Danpei watching Kim fight against this poor man. And Kim is destroying him. The man is 2 weight classes above him, and he is smashing blows against that jaw for fun. He's not an opponent, he is a victim, let's be honest, eating uppercuts and hooks for fun. There is nothing in him as he just stares at his opponent, calculating the damage and slipping before breaking that face and knocking the man down without bell ringing. This wasn't a fight, it was a straight massacre. And here's the unsettling part, somehow more eerie than the fact he fights with no emotion like the Phantom. We see him washing his hands, and that seems so normal. Everybody washes their hands unless you're disgusting. But everyone washes their hands, but he's been doing it for an hour straight. That's kind of creepy. And when someone goes to talk to him about it, he nearly strangles the poor guy. With his coach explaining it, he's wiping blood off his hands, an invisible blood that only he can see. So Joe's opponent is literally insane. Well, that's great and totally isn't creepy. While Joe has to start a grueling weight cutting program, running and refusing to eat. Even worse, he's proceeding to boil himself alive to drop his weight. I mean, he starts to refuse eating actual food, having everyone literally crying, including myself. I mean, he starts even hallucinating food, and his next location gets worse. He's currently in the basement, the same basement that Rikishi was in. The door locked while everyone tries to get in, and in a way you can respect it, but not that much, because I couldn't do it, I would just pass away. And then the water craving kicks in, as he starts smashing everything just like Rikishi. I mean, he looks like an actual corpse, with his coach planning on giving him fake weights just to protect him, while he's training in his tired state, looking like Slenderman as he gets weighed, believing he's lost 2.5 kg. But on the day of the weigh-in, it's not so simple. Kim gets weighed and passes, but when Joe gets weighed, he's over the limit by 900 grams. Realizing he was tricked, he instantly lashes out, punching at his coach with a very brutal combo. The man's on a mission of fury. Kim sees blood on Danpei's face, and he screams before trying to strangle the man to death, which is very weird, let's be honest, and, you know, very scary. But Joe needs to lose weight, and he does it with every single trick in the book. I mean, for God's sake, the man gets blood drained from his actual body so he can make weight. And he does, looking like actual death. With one final thing before our fight, both men meeting each other in a restaurant, as we get to understand the backstory of this guy. Born in the Korean War as a starving child, his father a soldier, watching his mother die in front of his very own eyes, being forced to run from a street of corpses with everything burned, which is disturbing in itself. And one day he sees a man in water appearing to be dead. As he finds rations, the man waking and walking towards him, before he smashes the rations over his head in horror fashion, killing him instantly, running away to devour all the food, which is when soldiers arrive finding their dead soldier, allegedly a soldier who had deserted, Chung Ryeon Kim. Oh, that's Kim literally vomiting, with everyone realizing he's the killer, battering him for a brief moment before it's realized that Chung Ryeon Kim, as you would expect, is Kim's father. He killed his own father in fear without realizing, with the soldier who protected him being his now coach. And I have to say one thing, what a literally insane origin story for a sports anime. The horror is eerie, but you know what's scarier? Not subscribing, please do. And after the most grueling and horrifying journey ever, it's time for our fight. Kim's terrifying eyes of confidence, whereas Joe is simply locked in, both men walking towards each other, just for Joe to literally slip, which if you somehow didn't know is not good when you're fighting a monster. Joe throwing wild swings that miss, ending up back against the ropes, Kim charging in and landing a 1-2, having Joe nearly shut down before he throws a Superman punch, which also misses, and then he misses again, nearly flying across the ring. And you guessed it, Joe can just not land. He looks like a moron as he eats those punches, a body blow and then a left, simply diabolical. All the while the crowd are furious, eating a monstrous body blow with a 3-piece connection. But Joe grabs the man's arm and finally starts landing, and then a 1-2 pressing him against the ropes, Kim slipping a left before he obliterates him and knocking him down down for the first time, Joe managing to get up and charging right back, punching him as the bell rings. Kim's eyes still the exact same, him and his weird calculator fetish apparently. Round 2 beginning as Joe levitates for a brief moment. Kim starting off with a right, Joe missing that retaliation as Kim hits a nasty combo and weaves with ease. MJ moonwalking backwards as a cross counter erupts, but Joe is the one who falls like a doll, and considering that's his move, it's not looking good. Ref. I mean, there's no light in those eyes, staring at Kim's empty ones, managing to rise and brushing off the ref, but it's still the same. Joe swinging and missing, and Kim just keeps landing before a body blow crumples Joe, and brother proceeds to grab his arm and starts punching him when he's trapped. I mean, this was straight hammer fist to the cranium without remorse. Joe is pissed. Kim wiping the blood off as Joe froze, blocked and comboed into oblivion, weaving down and finally landing a left with a right, grabbing at Kim to stop him from escaping, swinging in literal slow motion, but then cover your eyes for a moment, a right left uppercut body blow connection, making Joe question, where is he? Is he in the boxing ring or is he in heaven? Because that was a combo, and Joe proceeds to actually spin in the air like a Jedi before he lands on the mat, dead yet again. But if you know Joe, he never quits, somehow rising and instantly taking the charge, but Kim lands his jabs and slips with ease, landing again, and even when Joe lands, it ain't shit, an uppercut cracking at that jaw with our round ending. Joe going to the wrong corner. I mean, at some point you would assume Joe was dead, being revived on the stool, whereas Kim talks about using chom chom, which sounds hilarious, but in practice it's probably not so funny, probably scary, and Joe doesn't want that towel thrown in under any circumstance. Put it simply, Joe is not actually human, because if I was Joe, I'd probably have died from the stare and not even the punches. Our third round sees Joe eating even more punches, pinballed against the ropes straight JoJo style, bouncing off them and trying to go on a hike in the ring. Does brother know where he is? Kim in hot pursuit landing a devastating left, Joe falling back, and this time he looks actually dead. He has those Carlos unconscious eyes, but like a zombie, Joe rises, much to the shock of everyone. Because his eyes are dead, look at Mr. Calculator Bro's face, and if I saw that staring at me, yeah, I'd be shocked too. Kim instantly landing a body blow, giving a smiting right with a left uppercut, but Joe refuses to go down, and he literally frog jumps past him. That was goofy. Going on his own counterattack, still his punches are blocked, even with the machine going on the prowl. Aha. 2 lefts and then another punch, with yet another brutal combo making me cringe in agony. An uppercut sending Joe flying across the ring as he lands on his back, but by some miracle, he gets up again, even if he doesn't understand why, finally getting another proper connection, and then a body blow with a right to the head, keeping up his charge, literally grabbing at Kim's face to keep throwing hands as our round end. Kim has no idea what's going on. His calculations aren't working. He's actually rethinking his life choices, with that same chom chom being brought up. Kim landing a brutal barrage to Joe's poor face. I mean, oh my god. Landing him against the ropes with the fastest left-right you'll ever see. Joe clinching and slipping, his legs literally unable to keep him up. He's simply cooked. It gets so bad he starts clinching the referee. I mean, what happened to Shane? Trying to fight, but instead he just keeps eating those left-rights. Going for a brief walk, pulling himself off the ropes and charging right back in, missing as Kim lands another combo. I mean, this is a straight horror sequence, and he gets back up. Joe Yabuki is unsolvable, disregarding the referee, plunging right back in and missing, as it's time for chom chom. Joe slipping again before Kim throws a thunderous right, discombobulating Joe. I mean, what happened to his body? But then, Kim's cold face is pretty damn warm, because he has no idea what's going on. Joe is actually alive, throwing his left and then a right, but Kim weaves out the way, easily throwing until our round ends. Kim is sweating back on the stool, unable to understand just what Joe is. Apparently this chom chom technique is a combination that has killed 2 people. Probably not a good move for poor Joe in any context. Our round beginning with Joe landing just to eat more blows, bouncing off the ropes somehow alive, making Kim spin around before Kim lands a right left, causing the back of Joe's head to hit the ropes, and that isn't good, is it? Kim still not understanding, but it's chom chom time. And well, it's kinda scary. Kim hits Joe into the ropes and just starts pummeling him with a relentless onslaught, smashing Joe everywhere as he can't defend himself from the brutality. Kim looking like a demon, and just when Joe is about to fall, Kim hits an uppercut forcing him back, just getting manhandled, unable to land on the ground. Dance until you're dead. Apparently Joe is just eating punches like a JoJo stand rush, and Joe is finally down against the ropes, collapsing, somehow rising like a monster, and this time Kim is actually scared as he leaps at Joe and follows him to the corner, calling him a monster, having a literal breakdown on the stool, unable to understand how Joe is alive. But surely it's over. Yoko recalling Rikishi and begging the towel to get thrown in. Joe literally throwing water at her because he refused to let that happen. a left right to the face, thinking about Rikishi as he somehow gets up from another down. Kim even more horrified than before, unable to understand what Joe actually is. Rikishi's memory driving Joe, smashing punches against Kim's face, knocking him down for the first time. Somehow a miracle has occurred because Kim is actually scared. Both men exchanging in utter brutality, but then blood pours down Joe's face, just like the face of Kim's very own father. And Kim literally screams in fear. Just listen. Could you imagine giving a man actual PTSD in the ring? Joe reminded this man of his childhood trauma. Joe throwing a decapitating right, launching Kim out the ring as he lands with a sickening thud, and he does not get up. By some miracle, Joe Yabuki wins the belt, dedicating it to Rikishi, and oh my god, Kim does not recover from this. So next time, right? Subscribe.